Good day, and welcome to another edition of Q&A, Social Security Disability Today. I am your host, Attorney Anthony Reeves, so let's go ahead and get cracking and get right to your questions. All right. The first question is, I have a lawyer, and I call with updates. However, I keep talking to the receptionist. I've only talked to my lawyer twice in the past 2 years. Does this sound normal? Okay. I've had to deal with this in terms of talking to people about how much communication should they have with their law office or their law firm if they have an attorney. And here's what I tell people. 99% of the information that you need regarding your Social Security case, you're going to get from the staff. The reason why I stress that is because your staff is the one that's going to be getting the medical records. Your staff is the one that's going to be getting in contact with Social Security and the medical providers. And your staff is going to be the one that's going to keep you up to date on the information. If you need to speak to your attorney, whether it be about something particular about your case, most of your attorneys are going to be available to you. Meaning, if you need them for something specific because you want to go back to work, or if you're wondering what type of impact smoking or drinking or doing will have on your case, by all means, speak to them at that time. A lot of times when people are asking me how many times should they speak with their attorney, I tell them this. It really just depends on you. If you want to have more and more contact with your attorney, you need to establish that early because every law firm's protocol is just a little different. Don't measure it by the number of times you speak to your attorney. You need to consider, are you getting the information you need to know about your case? And also keep one very straight point in mind. If you're getting the same information from the staff that the attorney's going to tell you the same thing, don't stress if the attorney hasn't told you. You want the information. That's much more important. All right. Here's our second question, which is an outstanding question. My question is, if I'm approved, must I stay in the United States? Or am I able to live abroad while I collect Social Security benefits? Awesome point. If you are, let me back up a second. First and foremost, let me make one point very clear. There are some countries that if you go there, Social Security will not release funds to your account so that they can go to you while you're in those countries. I'll make that point very clear. So if you know you're about to leave the country, contact your Social Security office and ask them if the country that you're going to is one that permits you the ability to receive money via direct deposit into your bank account while you're at that location. I can't stress this any harder. There are certain countries that Social Security will not release your money to if you're there. So you want to make sure you let Social Security know if you are relocating. Not a whole lot of countries, but there are enough where you need to let them know. And people, don't move to the country and then call Social Security back and say, hey, I'm over in this country now. Is that a problem? Because you may get your feelings hurt. Let them know that you're moving. Remember, your case follows you, and the last thing you want is a situation that messes up your money. All right, everyone. Love this question. Our third question of the day. What if you have a chronic illness and you try to do a little around your home, but you're not able to do the same job you were or any other work? Here's where it gets tricky. And this is actually a two-part question. First, it talks about your past work and any other work. Then it also talks about daily activities. Let's talk about past work and other work. When Social Security is going through the 5-step process, they go through 5 steps. First one is, are you working? Second one, if you're not, is it because of a health condition or conditions that's kept you out of work for 12 months or more? Third step is, do you meet the list of impairments that Social Security have? If they find that you don't, you go to the fourth step, which is, can you do any of your past work? And if you can't do any of your past work, they then determine, can you do anything else? Now, if you're in a hearing, here's one of the things they do. They ask all those questions about what you did in the past and so forth. When they get down to the meat and potatoes of what's causing you the problem, they're going to spend a lot of time focusing on daily activities. Why? Because here's the kicker. Because in that question this gentleman asked me, well, you can do a little around the home, but you can't do any other work. Those two things actually lay and play with each other. Let me give you a good example. Let's say, for instance, you say you've got a devastating situation. You can't do any work you used to do. And you're telling Social Security that because of your condition, you can barely sit for a long period of time. You have a hard time concentrating. You can't stand for a long period of time. But you go to school, online classes. You sit through 2 or 3 hours a day on online classes and 3 or 4 hours a night studying in a seated position. Now wrap your brain around that. You can't concentrate and you can't sit for prolonged periods of time, but yet you're going to school and you're spending 6-7 hours a day sitting, going through materials. Now, that's a very clean message, meaning that doesn't take in consideration that you can kind of stop and take a break at your leisure, that you actually do this over the course of 7 days, not just 5. But what I'm trying to stress to you is that it's important to keep in mind that when Social Security is making a determination of whether they think you can't do any other work, they're going to look at your life and see what you're doing and to determine whether or not any of those daily activities is an indication of how limited you really are. Keep in mind, Social Security does not expect you to sit off to the side like a pack of vegetables around the thing. You don't have to sit there in a little cupcake waiting for disability benefits. They expect you to still live your life. But I always tell people, be mindful of the responses that you give. When you sit here and say, oh, I can't sit but only an hour at a time, but I can sit and watch a whole football game. Guess what? That's a 3-hour football game. Be mindful of your answers and more importantly, be mindful of your limitations because sometimes it's easy to make ourselves sound worse than what we really are. But then when you really stop and look at what you do on a daily basis, you're not quite as bad as the way you make it seem. All right, everyone. Last question, 4th question. What if medical testing clearly shows you are sick and have been sick for a long time, as in years? Would that qualify for a person for benefits? And I stressed this at the last video I did last week that I said the focus is not on how long you've had it, even though that's a component of the Social Security regulations. The focus is, does it severely limit your ability to work? That's the kicker. Let me give you a good example. I have high blood pressure. I've had it almost all my life. That, for some people, you can get disability based on high blood pressure. Mine is not at the level where it is disabling, but in my opinion, it is severe. I take medication for it. It gives me problems every blue moon. Why do I stress that point? Because sometimes it's so easy to focus on the fact that you've had a condition for so long, but you don't focus on the fact, well, has it severely limited you for so long? That's the focus that you need to have. Because guess what? I have high blood pressure. I believe that it's significant. However, it doesn't keep me from working, so it's not that significant. So the reason why I stress this is for those of you who want to sit there and focus on the laundry list of all the medical conditions that you have. Oh, I got COPD. Oh, I got high blood pressure. Oh, I got diabetes. Yeah, you got all those problems, but do they severely limit you? Guess what? If you take an inhaler for your COPD, you take a diuretic for high blood pressure, and you're on glucophage or diabetic pills, and you can still go to work, guess what? You have impairment, but they're not that severe where they significantly limit you. I stress again, don't focus all of your attention on the laundry list of your conditions. The importance is how does it significantly or how does it impact your ability to do the work that you used to do or any other work in the national economy. Hope that helped. All right, everyone. Again, I want to thank you for joining me for another edition of Q&A Social Security Disability Today, brought to you by the Reeves Law Firm, dedicated to representing the disabled and discriminated. Keep those questions coming, and I'll do the best I can to keep the answers coming right behind you.